Russian President Vladimir Putin has some stark words for United States and American citizens and pulls out of a nuclear treaty and has some nuclear threats. That's right, as President Biden and Vladimir Putin both give dueling speeches. And I'll give you the details on all of this here in this video. Let's jump right in. Thank you so much for liking this video. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Here we go. Take a look at what happened here just a few hours ago.
Our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire. President Putin's craven lust for land and power will fail. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never. Freedom. There is no sweeter word than freedom. Stand with us. We will stand with you. Let us move forward with faith and conviction and with an abiding commitment to be allies.
Vladimir Putin gave his State of the Nation address just hours before Biden spoke. Putin made it clear Russia had no intention of changing course and falsely blamed the West for the war.
They started the war, and we used the force in order to stop it. We understood this, and they are again in Kiev talking directly about their plans, and we knew that already. We protect people and protect their homes, and the objectives of the West is infinite power.
Again, the West started no war. Vladimir Putin is lying. He also announced Moscow was suspending the one remaining nuclear arms treaty with the United States. This all comes just one day after Joe Biden's historic trip to Kyiv. The risk to President Biden became abundantly clear as he walked through the city alongside President Zelensky.
Yeah, so President Biden was in an active war zone with air raid sirens going off. And Russia knew about it because they warned Russia ahead of time. And yet Ukraine had to set off air raid sirens because of the situation going on. Yeah, so you guys can let me know your thoughts on that and anything that could have happened. Meanwhile, you can see the headlines here. Putin issues nuclear warning to the United States, threatens to resume nuclear weapons tests as well. Yeah, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he would be suspending Russia's participation in the Strategic Arm Reduction Treaty with the United States. Yeah, this is a nuclear treaty with the United States, Putin says, and says that they could be resuming nuclear bomb testing. And the problem with this is that they already haven't been letting nuclear inspectors into sea, which the treaty is supposed to have been letting them in, all for the last several years because of the pandemic. And now they're officially suspending the treaty. So let me know your thoughts on this. Remember, they have about 6,000 nuclear bombs or missiles, just a few more than the United States has. And makes you kind of wonder, why do they want to suspend this treaty? What are their plans? And why are they doing this? Yeah. What's also interesting is the rhetoric of what Putin is telling his people, his generals, his leaders, and remember this was broadcast pretty much all over Russia, that the West started this war. Is the West attacking Russia? Is anybody attacking Russia? Do you see bombs and missiles attacking Russia? No. But yet he says the West started this war, and that's why they were forced to invade Ukraine. So you guys can let me know your thoughts on this. So they were forced to invade Ukraine and pummel them with missiles and bombs over and over and over for an entire year. Uh, just unbelievable. This literally just reminds me of Hitler in World War II and the propaganda of what they told the German soldiers. You think about German soldiers after the war was over, they literally didn't even know half of what was going on because of what Germany told them, you know? And the problem here is that a lot of German soldiers think that they're liberating these children from Ukraine as they take them from their families. And they think that they're trying to liberate Ukrainian people as they're fighting for their lives to not leave their own country as they attack them, as they bomb their homes and shoot missiles into their apartment buildings. Just kind of think about that. We're invading they're invading their country. They're invading their homeland, shooting rockets into their apartment buildings. What do these soldiers think they're doing? And remember that a lot of these soldiers now have been drafted. These Russian soldiers have been drafted against their will. Because if you're drafted, they don't have a choice. They've been drafted. So they didn't even sign up for the army now. A lot of these new 300 to 500,000 new troops that are now going into war in Ukraine with this newest wave now. Yeah. Also, this comes here as China's top diplomat visits Moscow, visits Russia, basically doubles down on supporting Russia. So you can basically see here Russia, China, and even North Korea and Iran all teaming up on the same side. Here is Lieutenant Colonel Vindman on what he thinks about Russia and China.
I wonder what you believe Putin is thinking right now as he watches this. Things are not going well for the Russian military in the East, even as they're willing to sacrifice troops by the thousands, it seems, on that front line there. Do you think he's scared that he's losing this war?
I think that doubt has to start creeping into his mind. Putin's calculation thus far has been that, the longer he goes, the more he stands the chance of waiting out the West. And that in a direct contest between Russia and Ukraine, that Russia has a lot more resources, the country of 140 million people, large industrial base. That is not the message he's getting. The message is that the U.S. will be with Ukraine for the long haul. In this kind of scenario, there's really no chance that Putin could win. He had his surprise strikes in the opening days of the war. He got as much territory as he could collect, and then everything since then has been a setback. So now within a contest of Ukraine supported by the U.S., he's bound to lose.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Secretary Blinken over the weekend while in Munich said in a number of interviews that the U.S. is now concerned that China is considering sending lethal aid to Russia to help in its war against Ukraine. They have not done so in the first year of the war. This would be a notable change. How significant would it be if China were to provide such lethal aid, and would that make an impact? Might it lengthen the war in your view?
Absolutely. I think the fact is that this is going to steadily slide into a proxy war supported by the largest economies in the world. And that could make Ukraine a perpetual land of war with battles ongoing for years. I don't know if China is going to make this step, public step, because then it would make this bilateral relationship between U.S. and China that much more difficult and further isolate China. I think that would be a major change in policy, but it's a risk the longer this war continues.
So as we come up here on almost the eve of the 1-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine, and Putin says a stark warning that he would be suspending his nation's participation in the nuclear arms treaty, threatening to resume testing of nuclear weapons. He made his speech almost exactly a year after the invasion of Ukraine began, accusing the, quote, elites of the West of escalating international tensions. Quote, the elites of the West do not hide their purpose. but they also cannot fail to realize that it is impossible to defeat Russia on the battlefield. This also comes as President Biden offered new assistance for Ukraine, including new shells for howitzers, anti-tank missiles, air surveillance radars, but does not offer new advanced weaponry. So as we go into year 2 of the war here for Ukraine, how long will this go on? When will it come to an end? Or will this escalate into something larger? And who will prevail? Will Russia and Putin prevail? Or will Ukraine be able to hold their land? Or will this become something larger? Let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I will keep you up to date here. Thank you so much for liking and sharing these videos to help get this message out. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Just click the subscribe button, then the bell icon, so you don't miss out on new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's some videos you can watch next. Here is Russia telling their citizens that the U.S. declared war on them. That's right. And here is Congress sending out a terrifying message to millions of Americans. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.